Hi guys, just want to pop in and let you know that this is the design portion of the video and it's kind of long. I did add a time lapse to it, but it's just going to show how I go into Canva and I create this design as specified by my customer. She wanted a tumbler with a bunch of pictures for her sister, so this is what I came up with, and if this is something you enjoy, keep on watching. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel again. Today we're going to sublimate a tumbler. I put on my Instagram that I was taking some Father's Day orders, and I got about, Carson, give me that. I got about 6 or 7 orders. So I'm going to do, no, that on the floor.
What?
It fell right there. So I'm going to do the one that's due tomorrow.
This?
Yes. Thank you. So I got my tumbler. I'll link where I get my tumblers from. It's a place here in Georgia, so it's pretty close. And I get them like within a day, and they're pretty cheap too. Pretty reasonable. About $8 I think each, which is not terrible. And they sublimate just fine. So here we go. Okay. This is the design you saw me create in the first part of the video. It came out really bright. I've never done red, so I'm kind of worried about that. So this is a test, and we're going to see what it looks like together because I have never seen red. Can you hand me my other glasses, please? Thank you. Okay, so when I am sublimating a tumbler, the very first thing I do is I create the design, and usually I use Canva. It's one of my favorite tools. Like I said yesterday in yesterday's video, it has everything you need, like everything. And I do subscribe to the Pro, and I use it for everything. So from marketing to creating designs, chip bags, everything. I use it for everything. This is my oven. It is a 6-slice oven, I believe, and it's Black & Decker. I honestly just picked one and it was too small, so I sent it back, and then I just picked the next cheapest one I found, and it was this one, and it works just fine. Although my oven thermometer sometimes doesn't read correctly, so I kind of have to guesstimate when it's at the right temperature. But yeah, here's my design, and other tools we're going to use are heat tape. I'm going to use scissors to trim my design a little bit. I have some alcohol to clean off my tumbler. Don't laugh at me. I don't have a heat gun. I use my blow dryer, and you will see it works just fine. I just didn't feel like buying a heat gun if my blow dryer works. So it works just fine. I haven't had any issues. I get proper sealing of the shrink wrap, and that brings me to the shrink wrap that I use. I just got this from Amazon. It wasn't anything special. I can link it in the description box as well. And you all know I print on A-Sub paper, although I do have some honestly speaking paper that I haven't tried yet, but I'm going to try that once I get my bigger press, because it's like 8.5 by 14 inches, and I feel like I could do some bigger designs with that. So this is the paper I'm using right now, and out of everything I have made, which I've made a lot, I still have a full, pretty much a full box. And if you want to see, here are some of the tumblers I have done before. And let's see. Here's a nice Roblox one. Most of these are for my daughter. She's spoiled. And this was my very first tumbler. And do you see it's kind of like ghosted here? I didn't have enough pressure. And this is the tumbler that I did without shrink wrap. And you can see the difference. So I used the same colors, but there's no ghosting on this. The seam is straight. There's no gap. Like here, the seam is faded. It was a whole mess, but I still drink out of it. It's just for me. Now, the first thing you have to do with your tumbler is I take the top off and set it off to the side. Now these tumblers did come with the rubber bottom and a metal straw, but now I think this same seller does not offer rubber bottoms and metal straws. I think she only offers it with plastic straws and no rubber bottoms. So I am looking for somewhere new to buy blanks from, especially tumblers because I love them. But the first thing I'm going to do is get my tumbler, and I'm going to get a little bit of alcohol on. I didn't need this much, but on a piece of paper. I should use a microfiber cloth, but I don't have one handy, so I'm just going to use this. And I just stick my hand in like this, and I go about cleaning my tumbler. And I do this just to make sure there's no fingerprints or, lint or just huge things that'll show up in my design once it's heating on there. And then I go in with a dry piece and I just dry it off like so. Now, the next part of this that I do is usually to trim my design, and I make my designs 9.3 by 8.3, so it's 9.3 long and 8.3 tall, I believe that's correct. And it's a little hard because this image doesn't have like a dedicated border, but I'm pretty good with scissors, so I just trim where I see the line. And I do trim it all the way around normally. And once I get done with this, I'll show you how I wrap my cups. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect when you are cutting it. Well, it kind of matters on the sides, but it doesn't matter so much at the top and the bottom. And you'll see why once I start taping it. And there we go. It's fully trimmed all the way around. I'm really worried about this red, y'all. Like, I do not want to waste a tumbler because this red does not come out right. I don't think she'll mind because she told me pretty much to just do whatever. So we'll see, but I'm hoping the red comes out good because this will be my first time using red. Now, the next thing I do is I take my tumbler like this and I take my design. You want to make sure that you are putting the bottom of your design towards the bottom of your tumbler towards the bottom of your design, like so. And since her pictures go all the way to the bottom of this tumbler, I wasn't really thinking. Usually I would not have them go so far to the bottom, but I'll try to put more towards the bottom than on the top. And once you have it straight, I bring that here like this, and sometimes you have to bring it down to your lap and you have to pull. And I literally pull. Now, I'm not used to having this much. I'm not used to having this much of a seam. I mean, this much of overlap. So I may need to reprint this. Let's see. I think I might need to. Okay, I think I'm going to reprint this and I will be right back. Okay, y'all, I'm back. I had to reprint. I don't know what happened. But as you can see, it was way too big. So this is the misprint and this is the reprint. So this is the right size. It is 9.3 by 8.3. So like I said before, I'm going to trim it and then we're going to tape it. I don't do the masking tape or the painter's tape. I tried that on the first cup because I didn't have shrink wrap and my cup came out looking terrible. But once I got the shrink wrap, it worked out perfectly for me. Like I haven't had any issues once I start using the shrink wrap. And like I said, I did not buy a heat gun. I probably need to, but I didn't buy one just yet. So, Carson, what are you laughing at? You do know I'm recording, right? Anyway, that's my child, the spoiled one. Anyway, but yeah, I am gonna trim it. And like I said, you can do this with the little cutter, the little Cricut cutter or whatever, but I just use scissors. I'm pretty good with it. I make party treats and bags and all that kind of stuff, so I have steady hands. I'm good with scissors. But if you are not, don't try to cut it yourself because your seam will be wrong. So like I said before, you want to make sure that the bottom of your design is faced towards the bottom of your cup before you start to wrap it. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to get it straight. And then I'm going to bring it to my lap and I start to pull it. And you only want to overlap one way. Let me show you. My paper's hanging this way. If I want my seam to overlap anyway, I'm going to take this one and overlap it on this one. And that's if it overlaps. Usually I don't have much of an overlap, if any. But if you have any overlap, overlap it one way the entire way. Otherwise, your seam will be messed up as well. So you want to pull it as tight as possible, almost to the point where you think you're going to rip the paper tight. And then you want to take your heat tape and start to tape your seam. And as you're taping your seam, you want to pull it towards whichever way you have the overlap. You want to pull your paper. So I don't have much of a overlap here at all, so I'm just gonna make sure it's as straight as it can be, or as close as it can be. And you don't want any air under here. That's why you're pulling it tight. You want to make sure there's no air, because air is not good. Like up here, I hardly have no seam allowance at all. Not seam allowance, no overlap. So I just want to pull it as close as I can and overlap it. And I might over tape. Some people might say I over tape, but I would rather over tape the seam than have it look wrong after I cook it. So I'm just going to continue doing that. And then I'm going to move on to the tops and the bottoms of the cups before I put my shrink wrap on. And to make sure there is no air or no bubbles in your seam, I always take a long piece like so, and I go right down, and I'm pulling my tape so it'll be kind of tight, and I go right underneath my cup like that, and then I just pull, and I go right over the top of my lip like this. And if you need more, use more, but just try to keep everything. I really want my seam to be tight so I don't have any issues. And then I use my nail to make sure there's no air. I feel around, make sure there's no air, and I don't feel any. So then, this is the kind of tricky part. You want to take your tape, and I pull my tape a little bit, and I wrap it around the bottom of my tumbler, and then lay it flat. You want to do that all the way around, and if you feel like you missed any spots or you still feel bubbles or anything, you can always add more tape. I always add more tape, and I've never had an issue. So you just want to go all the way around until all this paper here is laid flat. I'm going to go ahead and finish both the top and the bottom of this, and then I will be right back when it's time to shrink wrap. Okay, everybody, I'm back. As you can see, my cup is fully taped. You just want to make sure that down here, and as well as on the top, if you feel any like bumps or any pieces that are lifted up, you want to press them down with your fingernail as best you can. It's hard to get it perfect unless you just sit here and really like take a lot of time doing it. I haven't had any issues with it, so I'm hoping it's as good as it's going to be. And I do take my nail and go over the seam as well and just make sure that everything is tight. So the next thing is the shrink wrap. So for my shrink wrap, I simply do this. Do it just like that, and I have it like a little bit like halfway down and halfway to the top. Sometimes I trim it, but I'm not gonna trim it this time. Sometimes I trim it though, but I'm just gonna put it halfway in to my shrink wrap. And I like to turn my seam in the middle here, away from the two pointy parts. And the next thing I do is I get my heat glove on, And I get the one that I'm going to be holding the cup in. I mean, I put it on my hand and I'm going to hold the cup in. So I hold my cup like this. And I kind of pull it back like this to get it started. Now, this is, like I said, a blow dryer. It does have high heat, but it's not extremely hot. So I don't think you need extremely hot heat to make the shrink wrap work. But I'm going to go ahead and shrink wrap this cup, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so as you can see, my cup is fully wrapped. It's tight. The shrink wrap is tight on here. It's got all the pressure that it needs. So the next thing that we have to do is heat up our oven. So I'm going to go ahead and let my oven heat up, and I will be right back. Come here.
What?
Okay, so I know a lot of that last clip was out of frame. All I was saying was that when you're taping, you want to make sure you pay attention to this bottom part and the top part, and just press it down and use your fingernails real good to smooth it, to get any bubbles or wrinkles or anything out. And the same thing when you do the shrink wrap, you want to basically heat it until you don't see any wrinkles and it's tight. Like mine is really tight, like a drum on here. So now my oven is ready, and I'm going to put my tumbler in for 3.5 minutes, and then I'm going to do another 3.5 minutes. I'm going to put seam up first. No, seam down first. That's what I'll do. And then when I flip it, I'll do seam up. So we'll just wait for that to finish, and then I will show you the reveal. We're going to keep our fingers crossed because, again, I'm really worried about that red, but we'll see. Okay, our cup is out. It is extremely hot. I'm not patient, so normally I just go ahead and like try to rip the tape off. I really do need to get another oven thermometer because I'm not actually able, like, I don't know if you're able to see that. You see my tape kind of bubbling there. I never had that issue before, so maybe it was hotter than it was showing, because my thermometer was only saying it was 350. I know it runs hotter than that, than the thermometer was saying, but I don't know quite how hot it was. So hopefully it didn't scorch, but we'll see. I see the design through it, so let's see what we got. Okay. Now to remove this, normally I just cut here, and I just pull. And I try to get the shrink wrap off first. Sometimes the shrink wrap like sticks to the paper, so it's harder to get it off by itself. And then it's way harder anyway to get it off when you have these gloves on. So it's probably best to wait till it cools off, but I never can wait till it cools off. So I'm gonna be a daredevil and try to work with one glove. Whew. Yeah, it's still hot. And one thing I learned about these tumblers is the quality of the picture. Of course, that always matters, but I can't say how it will come out looking. I try to adjust the pictures that I'm given as well as I'm able to, you know, without making them look too crazy, because I don't know how the inks will print them. So I'm not quite sure how some of these pictures will come off, but hopefully they'll be good. Let me just finish peeling this tape and then I will reveal it. Let's see, one more piece here. And you want to be careful too while you are peeling your tape. Don't use anything sharp, even your nails, because you can scratch your cup and you don't want to do that. But you do want to get the tape off. Okay, so let's see, is it free? Okay, so it's free. So let's see what we got. Let's see what we got here. Not bad. Our seam is good. Let's see if you can see that. The seam is really good. That's what I was a little worried about. And the red is good. The pictures, like I said, you know, they're good for the quality that I was given. But yeah, overall, this cup is everything. That's a nice cup. And I designed this cup right in Canva. You know, it's not hard. Let's look at our top and our bottom. See how my cup wraps completely, my design wraps completely around the bottom of the cup? And let's check the top. Same up here. That's why you want to work hard to get the pressure at the top as well and at the bottom. But yeah. Here is the cup. Nice. I think Auntie will like this. And all I do once I'm done getting the cups made, I make sure, you know, I just check them for imperfections and all that kind of stuff. And then I take our top, put our top on, I lay it down like so. I don't think it's hot anymore. Yeah. And I place on the rubber bottom. And there's the complete cup. Now, this particular client or customer wanted a lot of pictures, so she has a lot of pictures on here. Normally, I don't do so many pictures, but I actually do like this design, so I might use this setup, you know, with more pictures in the future. But these tumblers come with their own box. I do usually make a sticker, a nice little thank you sticker or something to go on the front. But yeah, this will go in here. And we have our metal straw to go with it. And that's my cup. There we go. I just want to say thank you all for watching and rolling with me on my second video. I wasn't so scared to talk this time. Still a little nervous, but I'll get over that. But yeah, I think overall this project was good and she should be very happy. If you have any questions or you need any help with sublimation, I can help you with what I know. Feel free to email me or contact me, message me, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next video.